He still didn't press on it. Since San Lang thinks it's best not to look at them, then let's stay cautious. Hua Cheng nodded lightly, and the two continued onwards. Just then, they came to another fork in the road, and Hua Cheng went straight for the left. Xilin paused in his step and didn't follow. Hua Cheng looked back. What is it? San Lang's never come to this cave before, right? Xilin asked. Naturally, Hua Cheng replied. Then how come San Lang is so sure we should go to the left? Xilin questioned. Not so much sure, Hua Cheng said. I'm just going blindly. Since you've never come here before, how can you go blindly? Shouldn't we consider which way to go more carefully? Hua Cheng smiled. It's precisely because I've never come before that we should go blindly. Either way, we know nothing of the formation of this place, so we might as well boldly bet our luck, and my luck has always been better. Although that certainly made sense, but actually, every time the two went out, he had always let Xilin decide the way. It wasn't often that Hua Cheng took the initiative to lead. Xilin nodded, and the two were just about to enter the tunnel on the left, when suddenly Xilin spoke up. Wait, San Lang, do you hear that? What? Hua Cheng asked. On the right, Xilin said. They are voices. Hua Cheng's face subtly changed, and after listening intently for a while, he said, Gege, I think you've heard wrong. There's nothing. There is, Xilin exclaimed. Listen closely. It's a man's voice. Hua Cheng tried listening again and frowned. I really don't hear anything. Xilin was taken aback, and he wondered to himself, am I hallucinating again? Your Highness, this is fishy. There might be tricks afoot, Hua Cheng said. I suggest we talk after getting out first. Xilin hesitated for a moment, but in the end still said, No, I think it might be Nanfeng and Fu Yao. I best go take a look after all. Then he ran off down the path while Hua Cheng called after him, Gege, don't run off. However, hearing that faint yelling, the other party must have fallen into an extremely dangerous state and couldn't allow any delay. Xilin didn't dare to be careless either and quickly ran down the path to the right. The deeper he went down the tunnel, the clearer the angry roars of a man could be heard. Xilin was delighted and thought, it really is Nanfeng and Fu Yao. Xilin didn't know how long he spent going down the winding tunnel, but in the end, he finally found the source of the voices. And it was a giant cave. There were no divine statues in this cave, but a deep pit instead. And that was where Nanfeng and Fu Yao's voices were coming from. It seemed they were both trapped at the bottom of the pit, unable to climb up. However, they were still energetically yelling at each other, so there shouldn't be any life-threatening troubles for the moment. It was too dark down below to see anything clearly, and Xilin cupped his hands around his mouth and shouted from above, Hey, what's happened to you guys? When the two at the bottom of the pit heard someone was there, they instantly dropped their arguing, and Fu Yao's voice came. Your Highness, is that you? Hurry and pull us up. Nanfeng, on the other hand, didn't speak. Xilin was puzzled. You guys can't climb up on your own? This pit isn't that deep, though. What's happening down there? It might have been because he'd been fighting the entire way, so Fu Yao was full of fire at the moment. Rubbish! If we could climb up on our own, we would have done it already. Your Highness, don't you have eyes? Xilin squinted. I can't see that clearly. Do you still have spiritual power? Can you light a palm torch so I can see what the situation is down there. If you can't, then I'll throw a fireball down." Yet unexpectedly, before he finished his sentence, the two at the bottom yelled in unison, "Don't!" The sound of them stopping him was close to alarm and terror. Fu Yao then yelled, "Absolutely do not light any fires." If he couldn't light fires, then he'd have to use other ways to illuminate the place. Xie Lian's first reaction was looking back. Sun Lang? However, Sun Lang didn't follow after him. There was no one behind him. Xie Lian was slightly taken aback. At first, he felt slightly worried. Then after, it was confusion. He couldn't have lost his way. Ever since they'd entered this cave of 10,000 gods, Huacheng had been acting quite strange. But Xie Lian couldn't quite put his finger on exactly why. He looked to his left and right and suddenly discovered that on his own shoulder there rested a tiny, little silver butterfly. He tried touching it lightly. "Hello?" When that wraith butterfly felt his touch, it fluttered its wings a couple of times, but didn't fly away. It only seemed to be showing him its flapping. On this journey, Xie Lian had heard Huacheng tell him that his silver butterflies were divided into various categories. He didn't know which category this one belonged to, what it was responsible for, but whatever it was made for, it could at least shine some light. Thus, he asked, "Can you go down to take a look for me?" Sure enough, that silver butterfly flapped its wings and flew down. Xie Lian called out, "Thank you," and waited until it reached the bottom of the pit. Once the soft silver light illuminated the situation below, Xie Lian couldn't help but widen his eyes. At the bottom of the dark pit was a field of haunting white, the entire hole covered with a thick layer of silk. Nanfeng and Fu Yao were both wrapped into two cocoons among the silk, like two little flies stuck in a spider web. They were both black and blue in the face, their heads covered in blood. But who knows if that had been caused by their mutual beatings earlier. Xie Lian couldn't help but pat himself on the back for not doing things recklessly. If he had thrown a torch down, the entire pit would probably be set ablaze instantly. "What's going on?" Xie Lian asked. "Is that cobweb? Could this be the nest of a spider spirit?" "Who knows?" Fu Yao yelled. "Either way, we can't break free." It seemed he was desperate to escape. Nanfeng, on the other hand, had an unreadable expression. He looked as if he was going to call for help at first too, but when he saw the one who had come was Xie Lian, he stifled and swallowed his words. He said instead, "Don't come down yet. The silk is really tough. Once it gets onto you, it'll be hard to break free." "I won't come down," Xie Lian said. After deliberating for a moment, Xie Lian tied one end of Roya to the hilt of Fangxi and was going to lower the sword down to try and see. Yet unexpectedly, Roya only snuck down halfway before those cobwebs discovered it and rapidly shot upward, as if ready to show what they were made of. Roya backed away in terror, yet it was still too late. Those cobwebs caught on, tied a knot, and yanked it down, pulling Xie Lian down as well. He had never imagined that this cobweb was actually this strong and sharp. The moment Xie Lian fell into the pit, those white strings of silk instantly charged forward and tied him up nicely. The rest of the cobwebs were then slowly crawling about, further securing the cocoons on Nanfeng and Fu Yao's bodies. Fu Yao was going mad with rage. How come you fell too? Now look at us, 3 dumb fools. Let's all just die here together. What are you griping about? Nanfeng shot back. This only happened because he was trying to save us. Xilian, on the other hand, was tumbling about. The other two looked at him dumbfoundedly. Fu Yao said, "Did you hurt your brain on the way down? Have you lost your mind?" Tears were rolling down from the corners of Xilian's eyes, and he said with much difficulty, No. What's with these cobwebs? What are they? So ticklish. I can't. When he fell down, that silk bed very gently caught him, and the cobwebs that came to bind him were also very gentle and tame. While they were apprehending him, they brushed softly here and there, like they were tickling him. Xilian curled into a ball, tenaciously fighting back. No, don't, wait, stop, I give, stop. Only then did the white silk bind his hands behind his back and stop. Nanfeng and Fu Yao watched him. A moment later, Fu Yao said grumpily, "How come those cobwebs were so rough in binding us, but so loose when binding him? Not even his face is covered." Xilian finally caught his breath and said, Aren't your faces also uncovered?" Fu Yao rolled his eyes and replied, "They were covered, but after we came to, we used our teeth to bite them through. Otherwise, there would have been no way we could make a noise." Xilian tried struggling for a bit, but that cobweb was indeed tough and unyielding. Plus, he was laughing too hard earlier. His ribs were in pain, so he was temporarily out of commission. He decided instead to relax a bit, lying himself down flat. "So how did you two end up here?" "Don't know," Fu Yao replied. "When the avalanche happened, snow came crashing down like the sky was collapsing, and by the time we woke up, we were already here." No, Xilian said. "I meant, why did you both come to Mount Tonglu?" When the subject was raised, Fu Yao became enraged. "I was pursuing that female ghost, Lan Chang, and that fetus spirit. Who knows why he's here?" "Me? I'm here to chase after that mother and child too," Nanfeng answered. Fu Yao spat. "Then why didn't you go chase them? Why did you hit me?" My general already said that the fetus spirit has got nothing to do with him. He didn't kill them. His good heart is taken for a donkey's liver. Truly, there's no point in being a good person." Xilian mediated out of habit. All right, stop arguing. I understand the situation now. Stop fighting for now. Stop your arguing. You even caused the avalanche just now. So can you just take a break? Let's think of a way out together." However, Nanfeng was also incensed. Does your general not know what he's usually like? He has no reason to complain if people are suspicious of him. Fu Yao glared. "What did you say? I dare you to say that again." Nanfeng was glaring harder than him. "I do dare. I'll say it again. It wasn't like you had any good intentions. You only want to show benevolence to those you can't stand, so you can be all pleased with yourself in secret. You're just satisfying yourself and waiting to watch others make a fool of themselves. Don't give me that good heart taken for donkey liver, and don't think yourself a good person. Genuinely good people aren't like you. You've never been one." Veins popped on Fu Yao's forehead, his lips twitching. "This is all your imagination, pure nonsense." Nanfeng shouted back, "Whether or not it's nonsense, you know best. How would I not know you?" Fu Yao's veins were now popping all the way down to his neck. "What right do you have to lecture me? looking down on people from so high up. Careful, you might fall and break a leg. I'm stronger than you in everything, Nanfeng yelled back. Did you think no one knows of that shitty deed you've done? Just the mention of it, and Fu Yao seemed to be even more furious. Yes, I admit I did it, but how much stronger are you than me? Taking yourself for the model of loyalty. Didn't you ditch the boss when the wife came along? The wife and the son became more important. Everyone's doing things for themselves. It's the self that's priority. Aren't you embarrassed, hanging on to that old shitty deed over my head? When he heard wife and son, Nanfeng was completely outraged. You. Although the two couldn't move, they were already at each other's throats and did not realize that the way that they addressed each other had already went from your general, my general, to you, me. And because they were overly aggravated, they completely did not notice if they were exposing something, and only now did they come around. Xilian had long since stopped talking. Nanfeng and Fu Yao both whipped their heads over to look in Xilian's direction, and saw that Xilian had silently flipped on the silk bed, turning over and only showing them his back. I saw nothing. I meant, I didn't hear anything. Xilian faced the stone wall and said gently, Are you two going to keep going? As for what you were discussing, I won't comment on anything else, but I actually do think that the wife and the son are the most important. There's nothing wrong with that. It's basic human sentiment. These are all really old gripes, so let's not stew ourselves in it and think of a way to escape first. Fu Yao cut him off. You already knew. Since it didn't seem like he could get away with it any longer, Xilian could only concede. Yeah. Fu Yao said in disbelief, When did you find out? How did you find out? Xilian didn't have the heart to tell the truth and said instead, I've forgotten. The real answer was, a very, very long time ago. Since Mount Yujun, he already had a faint suspicion, and by the time they made it to the Banyue Pass, he had already verified the truth. What junior martial officials from the middle court? They didn't exist. Nanfeng and Fu Yao were only little clones created by Feng Xin and Mu Qing. It was like Fu Yao couldn't believe his real identity was so easily seen through and was relentless. When exactly did you find out? How did you find out? There must have been something that gave it away. What was the flaw? Xilian really couldn't bear to tell the truth. There wasn't anything to give away, since those two had flaws all over. The three grew up together, after all. How could Xilian not be familiar with the way they behaved and spoke? From the sloppy fake names to the never-changing personalities, it was too easy to guess. If he couldn't guess who were under those two skins, then he would have lived all those years for nothing. But some things were best not said by the person himself, and some things were best not done. For example, in minding the appearance of a heavenly official, one couldn't easily roll eyes or curse, but in a different identity, he could be much more open and relaxed. Thus, Xilian never felt the need to expose them. Fu Yao? No. Now he should be called Mu Qing. Mu Qing gritted his teeth and said chillingly, So you had already known who we were for a long time, but you never said anything. You were only watching us play acting quietly.